Good morning. Welcome to 2025 and another workshop from JBC. So today we are going to be talking about mastering Google business profiles. And today we're going to spend probably around 45 minutes or so discussing this topic. There is a lot to know. But before we get rolling, as you start to come in to the webinar today, feel free to introduce yourself, introduce your business. There are a lot of local businesses to Eastern Ontario, but a lot of businesses outside of that area as well. So feel free to introduce yourself. You can put a link to a social media account, a website, your Google business profile, whatever you'd like. So go ahead and introduce yourself. So my name is Jennifer Baker. I am the owner of JBC, and I've been doing this since about 2012, and that is 13 years now. So it's myself plus my team of 3. We have Vish on the call right now. She's going to assist with any questions or comments that you may have throughout today's webinar. So what we're going to be talking about today is a fantastic tool and a fantastic free tool. So we're going to give you the overview of what it is. We're going to talk about very quickly setting up and or claiming your profile. We'll be talking about managing reviews and all of those ratings that you may have. Also talking about the importance of posting on your Google profile as well as sharing photos. And I'm going to pick, if I know you, I may pick on you. So we've got a photographer for sure in here. So Eleonora. So we may poke around on her profile to see what kind of pictures she shares as a photographer within kind of that Ottawa area. And then we're going to talk about insights and analytics. So that's kind of on the whole what we're going to be talking about. But as always, if you have come to one of my webinars, you know that I will answer your questions as they come up. So feel free to use the chat to share any questions that you may have about Google business profiles. If you happen to have a question outside of that topic, feel free to save it until the end so we don't get too far off topic for today's webinar. And one last housekeeping, this webinar is recorded and will be emailed to you after today's session. So with that, your Google business profile. So what is it? It has had so many iterations over the years, and it's had slight name changes as well, which may cause a little bit of confusion. And I still stumble over some of the terms that they use for it. Previously, I want to say probably around a decade ago, it was called Local Business Google. Now it's called Google Business Profile. At one point, it was Google My Business. And really what it is, it's your listing on Google. So it allows you to have really good local search rankings. And a little story about this. So I like to keep friends with all of my marketing associates in Kingston. And this local marketing group, they had gone from having a physical office to having a virtual office. So they're all working remotely from home. So they didn't have a physical address anymore. And then lo and behold, I'm out in the hallway at the office and I see this person, and I'm a big fan of them. And I said, "What do you do back here? I thought you were going virtual." And they said, "Our local search rankings tanked." So because they went from a physical space to a home base space, Google didn't allow it. And basically they fell off the map. So now they rent a physical space to have that location. Now, for those of you in Eleonora, I know I'm going to answer your question because I know where you work out of. So you say, well, I already have a home-based business and it's fine. Don't change anything. I hope you never move, Eleonora. I love your space. But if you have an existing home-based business, do not change the address because you won't be able to get that back. They will legacy it for now. But if you do happen to have a team that is in person and you're planning virtual, it may cause some havoc to your local search rankings, okay? So I've talked about it, but what is it? So for those of you who use Google, this is kind of that initial Google screen that you have when you're looking for some a photographer, a floral designer, where to go to eat for restaurants. This is the general lay of the land. So we've got paid Google search generally at the top. Down below that, you've got your organic search. And then to the right-hand side is your Google business profile. So generally, it's going to be showcased with some pictures. You've got phone number, and we're going to go through all of this, but that's what it looks like. and you think, I don't know if I don't know if I have this. Maybe somebody else has this. So we'll talk about that and we'll get into that. But that's what your Google business profiles, and you do have the ability to update it and change kind of any of those parameters within it. So like I said, it's best known for improving local search, because really you say, okay, I'm in downtown Toronto. Where do I go to eat? You just type into maps, restaurant, Toronto. Maybe it's Asian cuisine, Toronto. And you get all of those search results with all the little pin marks in downtown Toronto where you can eat. The other part, it provides accurate and up-to-date information to those potential customers. So this can be a pro and a con, and this is an important piece. Years ago, I'm probably going back about 10 years, it was a local bakery, and she said to me, she said, Jennifer, somewhere on the internet, this is what she said, it was so sweet, it says that I'm open at 7 a.m. I'm like, what do you mean somewhere on the internet? And she said, I've checked my website, I've checked my Facebook page. She said, it says that I open at 8, but she said, customers keep saying the internet says I open at 7. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And what she meant, the internet, was this. So when people were Googling this specific bakery, the internet, being a Google business profile, was saying that her business opened at 7, when in fact it was wrong. So you might say, how does this happen? Like, how does this happen? If you don't own and manage your business profile, anyone can go on and change that information and say, hey, Eleanor's phone number is actually this, and they can change the phone number. So it's user suggested updates. Now, as an owner of your profile, I would get an update saying a Google user has suggested a new phone number, a new address, or what have you, and I would have to accept it. If I don't own it, it will just automatically update it. So that is a very scary thing. That is a very, very scary thing. So for something like this is what I'm talking about, those local search results and whatnot. I just did a quick Google of coffee shops in downtown Kingston. So a lot of people will say, like, how do I get on the map? Like, how do I get on the map? And this is really kind of the key point of it, is managing that Google business profile. So having it up to date with pictures, with reviews, which we will talk about reviews, and being active on it. Okay, so this is what we all want to have. Now, we're not going to get into Google Ads today, but there is the opportunity to have sponsored, I'll call them little location tags or flags in there as well. So if you're a local service provider that does rely on kind of that walk-in traffic, maybe you could consider Google Ads for a Google map. Just a thought. We're not going to get into it, but that's just a food for thought. So this one, same thing. So we've got, I think I just Googled Kingston counseling. So this is that initial search when people are looking, they say, oh, okay, it's the new year. I need to work on myself. Let's find counseling. And this is where we start our search. So many people have it backwards, thinking that they're going to find you on Facebook or they're going to find you on Instagram. They actually start here. The other starting point perhaps would be asking a friend or a family member saying, hey, do you know, a mason, an electrician, a counselor? And if they don't do that, they come here saying, this is what I'm looking for. So this is why it's important to have it all filled out. So from here, I can click on websites. I can get directions to their place of work. I can even schedule appointments if you do have something like an online scheduler. And I added the physiotherapy because there was a few different physiotherapists who are on this call today. So same idea, if I'm looking for a new physiotherapist, this is what I'm looking for. Now, these ones are a little bit different. So see how they have open? So they're open, this physiotherapy Kingston, they close at 4, they close at 6. And then I'm even starting to see some reviews as well. So I can get a very good idea maybe of that initial search and where I want to start. Okay. I couldn't have planned this workshop probably better, because I've probably had 6 or 7 calls from, I'll call them spam, saying your Google business profile needs to be verified and it's going to cost $1,000. And I've probably had 6 or 7 of them this week. So those types of calls are going around. There is no cost to have a Google business profile. There's no cost. So what we see here, if you are the owner of JD Physiotherapy and you want to be listed like that, there's no cost for that. The cost only comes if you want to do any sort of advertising, and that's a whole separate topic. Okay. So oftentimes these callers will say you have to claim your Google business profile. We can do it for, I've heard, up to $1,000. You don't have to worry about that. And I will say this as someone on the call today, if you ever are concerned, honestly, send me an email and say, like, I got this call, like, is this legitimate? I'd rather say yes or no very quickly than have you, lose access to an account. So that's my public service announcement for today. If you ever have any questions for the 12 of you who are here, just please email me and I'm happy to respond. So these are free. You don't have to pay. Your Google listing is controlled by you, provided you do have the access to your account. I always make a note to go in at least a couple times a year to check my phone number, check my operating hours. For those who operate retail, restaurant, and your hours fluctuate a little bit. So maybe you're closed on Christmas or you have extended hours on a Saturday. You can adjust those hours as much or as little as you need to. The other thing is you can add photos of your location. So I'm going to go back to the phone number and I'm going to tell another story. It's a really sad story. So I did a lot of work within the HVAC industry, probably about 8 years ago now. So local business Google profiles weren't really a big thing back then. But I said, we need to claim them all because people might, use them incorrectly. So as I was going through, and there was probably about 34 different offices for this franchise that I was going through, I was verifying kind of all of them. And I got to one phone number and I said, I don't recognize this phone number as one of our members. And when I Googled it, it was their competitor. So it's, I was working with ABC, HVAC. And because they hadn't claimed it, the competitor went in and put their phone number. So, your furnace is broken. If you're living in Canada, it's pretty cold. You don't care who comes to fix your furnace, but someone's going to come. So that competitor had gone on, changed the phone number to their phone number. And because nobody was verified, nobody was notified, and nobody was checking on it, all those phone numbers and inquiries were going over to the other competitor. So make sure you know who owns your accounts. Okay, so I'm just going to pause for a second because I see, so Rupa, so true customers find us on Google or word of mouth. We're a gift store in Arizona. Well, welcome, Rupa, from Arizona. Hopefully it's warmer there. Yes, so Eleanor is saying when somebody submits a query on Google and it shows you that list of businesses, what does Google use to rank? So it will do it by location. So oftentimes what people are doing, Eleanor, I'll use you as an example. They might say wedding photographer, Ottawa, and what comes up, or wedding photographer, Kemptville, and what comes up. It's using also that IP address that you have. So you are logged in and using the internet and getting the internet service from somewhere. So it's using that as well as a benchmark. So yes, somebody might put the query in with the location, but they also may not. They just might type in, commercial photographer, full stop. So you need to have kind of the both of them. Okay. So the importance of photos, and I might pick on Eleanor a little bit in a second. If you get nothing out of today's webinar, go and check how many photos are in your Google listing here. And I'm sure we've all done it and we haven't even really realized what we're doing. So if you've ever stayed at a hotel, gone to a restaurant, booked an experience, you go here. I'm sure you've all gone here. I think I use downtown Kingston hotels downtown Kingston. And we've all done it. We've gone to this listing of, okay, what do the rooms look like? And then because we're so tech savvy, we know the difference between if it's from a visitor versus by the owner, because we always know the pictures are way better when it's done by a professional photographer and staged with the roses on the bed. It looks so much, but we want to know what the average customer sees. So these are so important for you as a business owner to include in here. What does your office look like when people come in? What does, if you're a massage therapist, like what does your treatment room look like? Giving people that sense of comfort for what they're going to experience when they come into your place of work. Okay. So do you mind, Eleonora? I'm just going to pick on you. Eleonora is a gem. I didn't even mention she did my photography, the picture you saw of me earlier. That was her. So shout out. So this is Eleonora. She's located out of Ottawa. So I'm like, do I want to hire this person? Like, is she legitimate? I can creep on here so I can see her location. Oh, this is a nice picture. Oh, very nice. So I can go through and see the latest pictures. I can see the bridal pictures and scroll through. People, if anyone got engaged over the holidays, highly recommend. Not that she did my wedding, she just does my commercial. Okay. So we can see all of these glorious pictures. So it gives me a sense of what she can do. I'm not even on our website at this point. I'm just kind of looking at photographers in the area. Now, under here is also, this is impressive, Eleonora. Like, we're going to get to reviews in a second, but this is also, let's all reach for what Eleonora's got here. So she has a 5-star rating and 104 Google reviews. So I'm going to skip ahead in my chat to reviews. So reviews are really important. You all should be collecting reviews. I'm going to have a little bit of tools and how to get more. So you can sort by most relevant, newest, highest, and lowest. And we've all done this, I'm sure. We've looked at the newest. So this person had her, maybe her photography done a couple weeks ago or earlier. And that's 3 weeks ago. Okay, so she's still in business is what my brain is thinking. And then I want to see the highest. Okay, so Enmar is giving 5 stars. And now I want to do the inverse. What is her lowest? It is also 5 stars, which is really good. You're a bad example for this, Eleonora. I'll have to use someone else. But we're going to flip-flop and we're going to read all the reviews to get an idea of, is she good? Is she not good? What do people really have to say about her? So let's all reach for Eleonora. You'll be our shining star for today. Question from Rupa. I will get to that. That's coming up definitely in a section. Yeah. Okay. Hours of operation. Make sure these are up to date. Everyone go and check now if your hours of operation are up to date. You'll also notice in there that you can add special dates and times. So let's bring up. So over the Christmas holidays, you can say you're closed on Christmas, closed on New Year's, and so on. But you can add other special dates. So maybe your office is closed because you're doing a team gathering. Maybe you're just taking vacation and you want to list that you're closed. That's also fine. But making sure that you actually update it is the key here. So this is my profile. And to do any of the edits that I'm talking about are under this edit profile function here. So you can see my address, and then you can see my hours, and then you can update any of the hours. So this is a Canadian holiday. So I can say yes, or we're just closed, and save. Okay. So coming in here and having that refresher of when you're available and when you're not. And it says it usually takes 10 minutes, but it's fairly quick. Okay. So go in here, take a peek around, and make sure things are up to date. All right, setting up and verifying. Okay, so all of you here, you may or may not have a verified profile. So to check, all you have to do is Google your business profile and just see what comes up. Now, let's see. Let's do this one. Oh, that one didn't. There it is. So this is a pizza shop downtown Kingston, and you can see that they're verified. So in here it says suggest and edit. So I could say, their phone number is wrong or this is wrong. So I can suggest it, but they do have to verify it. If you're not sure, it will say request ownership. And generally it's pretty good, I would say, to get the ownership if maybe it was a marketing intern or somebody from a who had previously set it up, maybe who's no longer with you. Getting a Google business profile is not terrible, actually. But there is some verification that they're going to be going through. So typically the verification will be phone, text, email, mail, like snail mail. But more and more I'm seeing the video recording or the live video call, which is a bit of a challenge for many businesses. So the QR code there is if you're looking for the instructions to claim an existing account, just take a quick scan. It will pop up on your device and you can walk through the steps. Okay. If you have nothing, maybe you're a brand new business starting up, all you have to do is go to google.com/business and it will walk you right through all the steps that you need. So it's pretty simple to do. You're still going to have to do the verification process. So it's likely going to be a video recording or a live video call. Have patience when you do it because they are a little bit nitpicky on the requirements, but they do walk you through that process. And again, like I said, it's all free. There is no cost to any of this. Okay, so let's talk about reviews. And people have a love-hate relationship with Google reviews. They're not going to be, well, now that we're in the presence of Eleonora, I was going to say we're not going to be perfect all the time, but I guess I am wrong, Eleonora. So it is excellent word of mouth marketing. You do get good visibility. People have the ability to read other people's experiences. And we've all done this. You're booking a vacation, you're booking a hotel, you're seeing a physiotherapist. What do other people have to say about them or the group or the organization or the vacation or the tour group? That's what we're all curious about. So all your Google reviews, they're going to show up similar to what we were looking at with Eleonora, but let's bring Score Pizza back over. So let's take a peek at the reviews. So you think, okay, I'm going to Kingston, I'm going to get some pizza, 4.6 out of 5. Okay, so they're not perfect. So now we can see most relevant. This individual Parth has also included a picture, so we can see this is what an actual person will take. Eleonora's cringing. Don't cringe, Eleonora, the photographer. But this is what a person, they're sharing their experiences. We can see newest. So we can say, okay, 2 weeks ago, they were open, they were in business, they're still doing okay. We can check highest, but we always want to do this. We're going to check the lowest. And a lot of people get really concerned about this and they think, okay, it's a negative review and it's terrible. So they had a lot to say. So they responded, which was good. There's a couple other negative reviews. What's that? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's probably about what, 20 reviews. The thing that I'm noticing here, and I've never looked at the reviews for this spot, is how many years ago they were. So 3 years ago, 3 years ago, a year ago, and so on. Okay. So I like to look at holistically all the reviews. So number one, they have 1,500 reviews. Having a bunch of negative reviews, that's okay. If anyone remembers what was happening 3 years ago, I'm not going to say the word, but things were a little bit different 3 to 4 years ago. So I would probably give a business a little bit of grace during that time because of the pandemic. And 3 years ago, in a retail restaurant business like this, the turnover is probably quite high. The individuals who are working there probably no longer work there anymore. But number one, make sure to acknowledge and respond to all of the reviews, whether they're positive or negative. Don't ignore them, but respond to them as if they're standing in front of you. Like, what would you say to that person to remedy the issue or the concern? So for something like this, don't shy away from the reviews. Certainly encourage them. Now, to get reviews, okay, that was just another example. So to get reviews, you can do a few different things. So you can send people directly to your Google Business profile and shorten the link. And basically, you can include it on social media. You can include it in email marketing. You can include it after the fact if you have like an invoicing service or something like that. And sometimes it's asking, simply asking. I've seen a lot of success with people having QR codes on the back of business cards. You know, if they're leaving their service techs, this is what I did with my HVAC group. All their service techs would leave business cards at an individual's home. So they'd have the contact information, but they'd also have a link to the Google review as well. And that's how they got a lot of them. And sometimes a lot of business owners, they get a little bit disheartened. They're like, oh, Jennifer didn't leave a review. And I asked her so nicely at the checkout and, you know, something must have been wrong. And then they make this whole story in their head. When in fact, yes, I'd love to leave your review, but my brain sometimes operates like a squirrel. And as soon as I leave your place of work, I'm on to something else. I have totally forgotten that I was going to be a nice person and leave a review. It's not that I don't love you or want to support your business. I've just forgotten. So sometimes a reminder through an email marketing or a takeaway, you know, physical piece of paper is a good thing. Now, for negative reviews, so we've talked about if the customer, you know, we saw the one with the burnt pizza edges, that's fine. But sometimes people get trolls. And these individuals may not have actually visited your business, used your services, and they're just being nasty. There's a few examples. There's an engineering firm that we were working with last year, and there was an individual twice. They left a review saying something to the extent of like, buying a car from you was the worst experience ever. This is a civil engineering group. They don't sell cars. So there was like a 1-star review, and this person had a whole bunch to say about buying a car or a van or something. And all we had to do, so there's a QR code. We submit the review saying this has nothing to do with our business, and Google will remove that review. The other thing it will remove if any of the text uses derogatory, inflammatory language, curse words, and things like that, it will be removed. What is more tricky, however, is if somebody leaves a 1-star review with 0 text. That is very difficult, almost impossible to remove because there's no context behind it. We can't prove that, you know, Jennifer Baker wasn't actually in Arizona at the gift shop. So there's nothing really to go on. So if it meets the criteria of a low review that uses that inflammatory language, or it's really not a part of your business, it's very easy to get rid of. And that QR code is there, and it will bring you to the link that you need to submit that review. So I'm just going to pause for a minute before we get on to our next topic, because I see a few different questions. Oh, Eleanor, the 2 different listings. Can I answer that at the end? That's a big one. So Sandy's asking if people have made a purchase, but they didn't sign up for email marketing. I would probably say no. So if they did not say they want to receive email marketing from you, I wouldn't follow up. I would say no. I would say no to that. Okay. All right. So I think it was Rupa asking about the update. So Rupa, this is your section. So the Google Business Profile seems to get longer and longer every year. There's more and more to add to it. So this is a client of ours, North Roast Coffee in Kingston. And we can see the profile, and I had to split it into two so it wasn't teeny tiny. So working from the center top down, we can see our pictures, their hours, popular times that people are there, and we're still going. And then right at the bottom, there's updates. And this has kind of been here for a while, and people didn't really know what to do with it. But for SEO, it's very important. So just like we were looking at the hotel, we were looking at Eleonora for pictures, now we can actually see updates without even leaving this profile. So if you're doing or offering any new services, you've got new packages. In this case, they were doing a Christmas blend. All of that should be going on the Google Business profile. It is very good. And I've talked to, like, internally, we have an SEO individual, but other SEO individuals that I've spoken with, they said this is a fantastic thing to do if you want to improve your local SEO, and it's doing these types of updates. So the updates in question, they can simply be what's called an update. That's the category of it. So it could be products or shipments or service offerings. So Rupa, if you do a gift store, maybe you've got some new candles, or maybe you've got some new fragrances that have come in. You can say, you know, new for spring or new for winter. This is now available in shop. Great. Eleonora, you could simply say now offering, maybe it's a special package or a promotion if you book, you know, 12 months out or something like that. For offers, this shows up a little bit differently, and it will depend on your business. So I realize a lot of individuals on the call are professional service providers. There's a couple, I'm just looking at your names. There's a couple local businesses in here, more retail, and this is where this would fall. So if you've got any sort of sales, specials, limited time promotions, because what you can do in here is add start and end dates. You can also add promo codes to this as well. And the beauty behind the promo code would be, if you're really skeptical if this works or not, you can add that promo code to see how many people actually use it. That's always the tracking mechanism. So you think, okay, what's the purpose of promo codes? Yes, to give a discount, but also to track where people are coming from. Okay. And then events. So if you're an event, again, looking at the list, if you offer any type of event, so for us, we do webinars. You might be hosting a craft fair. You might be attending another function. The events are great because they allow you to have the time and date and so on. Let me bring up. So that's what adding the update is. So you can add photos, videos, descriptions. You can have buttons. They're very nice call to action buttons, to be honest. Meta could take a course from Google on this one. Oh, that's just the updates. There you go. So add offer, so you can see if you're offering any sort of retail specials. And then lots of details in here, if that's required. Offers, and then events. Okay. So if you say, well, I'm going to put it here, should it also be, you know, on my website, and should it also be maybe on my Facebook page? Yes, really, it's just yes. So you can include the update on your Google Business profile, but you might also have an Eventbrite listing. You might also have a Facebook event as well. So I would say yes across the board. More is better at this point. Okay, so I'm going to pause because we're at another section break. Lori, what if you have no set hours? You don't have to include hours, actually. So if you don't have like set maybe shopping hours, I know, Lori, you're an artist. You could just leave that blank. Eleonora, where'd you go? Oh, no, you do have hours now. Okay, so what Eleonora has done, and I've seen this before, she's put by appointment only. So she just doesn't want people rolling in at, you know, any time, but she does have open closed hours. Perhaps maybe she's more likely to answer emails or phone or whatnot. So you can do the appointment only, or you don't have to put any set hours. And to that point, while I did talk about home-based businesses, you don't have to put your home address either. So I know Eleanor sees clients in her space. I've been there a few times. But if you're a home-based business, but you don't ever want to see people at your home, you don't have to put an address. And that's likely why the Google business profiles are getting a bit more difficult with home-based businesses. And I'm just reading your question, Eleanor. As for the updates. Example that I published. Oh, that should be fine. Yeah, that would be fine. So long as there's activity there. Yeah. So Lori, the home-based business, you're an existing business, so I think you popped on a little bit late, Lori. But provided you're not updating your address, it should be fine. But if you decided to go from an office space to a virtual space in the last probably 6 to 8 months, it's not going to be great for you. But I know you've been around for a while. Thank you, L. Preston. Whoever you are. Where am I? Okay, insights and analytics. So this is our last little section that we're going to be talking about. And then I know Eleanor's got some bigger questions. She came prepared with all of her questions. Everyone be like Eleonora. And if you think, does Jennifer pick on people all the time? If I know you and I know you're coming to a webinar, I may pick on you because it just adds as an example rather than it being, you know, about Coca-Cola or big corporations. It's actual real people running businesses. Okay, so these analytics are related just to your Google business profile. And you think, okay, Jennifer, what else would they be? I've had clients before, and I love to educate and I love working with my clients. And I went to meet with one of them about their ads that we were running, Google Ads. And he pulls out this page and he's like, we only got 347 impressions on our Google Ads. And I'm like, no, Google Ads are in this column over here, like this piece of paper. This is just for your Google listing. So there sometimes is confusion because Google owns so much. We've seen it in the States at this point where they want to break apart Google. But there's so much overlap and things sound so similar and the apps all look very similar that there is confusion. So these are not paid Google Ads analytics. This is just for your Google business profile. So it provides information on how many people are actually looking for and finding your information. And that goes for, you know, here's just another example. So if I Google restaurant Toronto, this is going to count as an impression that I'm looking up and I see this, whatever it's called, black and blue restaurant. And now I'm kind of looking. And depending on the action that I take in here, so now I've clicked on it, now it's come up. Any tappable action that I do in here, it's going to track so that you can see what I'm doing. So maybe I visit the website, maybe I tap and want to reserve a table, maybe I need driving directions. It's tracking all of that information. And that's generally what this will show you here. So this many people, I think this is for my account, viewed my business profile, and this is what they were doing. So they were on, Google search on a device versus a desktop. So the majority of people are on their mobile device looking up whatever I do here, social media marketing. Then you can see people looking at Google Maps. So they maybe want to see where I'm located. Maybe they're coming for a visit at the office, and then mobile versus desktop. So I will bring up my account in a second. And then this is what people are actually searching for. So really valuable tip, probably number 3 of the day, is if you're considering in the future, maybe you're already running Google Ads and you're like, what do people actually like look for to find me? This is a good starting point. This is what people are looking for. So when people key in digital marketing, I come up. When people key in Jennifer Baker Consulting, I come up. And then Barb Hibbard. I don't know a Barb. I don't know who that is. So you're always going to find weird little ones like this as well. They kind of make me laugh, but let's just see. Let's check out my performance. The screen just froze on me over here. All right. So to get to those analytics, so provided you have access to your account, the dashboard now appears within what looks like Google search. So you're going to click on the performance. The date ranges have improved, I'd say, in the last year as well. So we could look the last, is that 6 months? 6 months. So August to January. So you can adjust that kind of to whatever you need. So I can see people interacting. I can see people calling from my business profile. They tap to call. Nobody books because I have a different booking system. People getting directions. And then people clicking through to my website. Okay. And then if I go back to overview, see how it's going to prompt you to do Google Ads. This is where people get a little bit confused as to, am I in a Google business profile? Is this free or is this Google Ads? I'm confused. So see, it's promoting itself in here. Okay. Then we can see that little dashboard of how many people are viewing, and then all of those keywords. So let's just click see more. And this is what's coming up. This is all the words. And it's strange sometimes what comes up, but it's really curious to know why you're coming up. Okay. It's always amazing to me. Okay. And like I said, Google's going to give you all these analytics, and you can do the past 6 months or 1 month, whatever you need for your reporting. So all of these updates, I'm doing pretty good. This was a 45-minute webinar. I'm pretty happy with this. So all of these updates are in this dashboard here. The profile strength looks good. Any of the updates that you're going to be doing, so it could be your edit profile, which we've already been in. So you can tap the little crayon to update anything. Make sure all your business categories are up to date. And I say this because Google changes things and doesn't necessarily tell you all the time. And sometimes industries don't always match perfectly. So go in and just see if it has a better match for what it is that you do. You can also add all of your social profiles. So again, an update that they did probably in the last 6 months. So make sure you've got all of your relevant social media accounts in here. Those are kind of the relevant ones there. For reading and responding to reviews, you can view and read all of them in there. There's going to be this prompt as well to get more reviews. So that is your link that I was telling you about. So I can copy this and put that in the chat. So if you want to provide a review. The performance, which we were just in. The updates that we talked about. And then this is, again, where it gets fuzzy. So we get into advertising. It's going to bring us over to our Google Ads platform, which I'm not going to get into. You can also add products and service listings. It's important. It's a little bit outside of our timing for what we have today, but you can add individual products in here. You can also add services as a listing. So I've put all my keywords in there as well. All right. Okay, so I'm right on track for timing. So we did talk about a lot. There's still a little bit more to know. 45 minutes is a short webinar, but we did talk about a lot: setting up your profile, verifying, managing your reviews and your ratings, using the posts and starting to use the posts, and then actually looking back at all of your insights and analytics. So out of this, number one, make sure you've got your profile. If you don't have your profile, make sure you claim it. Review all of your information, I'd say at least twice a year, to make sure it's updated and accurate. And then also take the time to do posts when relevant and add photos so that people know what they're walking into when they want to visit your business. Okay, so I'm going to get to the Q&A in a moment. So upcoming events, I have 2 webinars coming up. I think Vish is going to pop the links into the chat if you want to register. But the first one is Meta Ads audience development. So it's, I think, an hour, but talking about developing the different ads. So saved custom audiences for use in Meta Ads. The second one is the actual campaign development. So that's a couple weeks later. And then if you do want to leave a review for me, I would encourage that. So you can scan the code. I've also put the link in the chat as well. So I'm going to get to the questions because I know there was a couple. They were just a bit long and I didn't want to go too far off the schedule. So thank you everyone for attending, and you can stick around for the Q&A. So the question that Eleonora has is about having two separate Google listings. So Eleonora, I did kind of touch on the fact she does wedding photography, but she also does commercial photography. But the challenge is she has one address with basically two business models. So one is corporate photography, which I normally have my picture on like the last page and I don't. I should have, Eleonora. So she does corporate headshots. So for people like me, and she does brides, people not like me. And the challenge is she wants to have two very unique, or she does have two unique audiences, therefore wants two separate business profiles. But I know in the past, Eleanor, you've tried to separate them out and they simply decline them. I want to research this and write a blog about this, to be honest with you, because I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. And so you've put two. Does it turn the other one off? Like, does it just cancel it out? I want to see if I can.
I'm going to unmute myself if that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, please.
So, hi everyone. So initially, my brides don't want to see headshots. My headshot clients don't want to see brides, right? So I separated the websites and all the profiles like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, et cetera, right? And then initially I was able to get two Google listings, got it verified, the whole thing, and it was up and running. Reviews were separate and everything was fine. Perfect, right? So when someone Googled gem and photography commercial, up that listing would go. Someone Googled gem and photography weddings, and then the other listing. And that was on for maybe 3, 4, maybe at most, maybe 6 months tops, because it was a little bit of a blur. And then all of a sudden, I got a notification saying that you can't have two Google listings at the same physical address. So you can't have two businesses at the same Google address. So they deleted my commercial listing and basically just combined whatever they could, just pell-mell into gem and photography. And that was the older listing, so they left that. So I can't even like add more than two different social profiles on the listing for gem and photography weddings. It can only be one Instagram account, one Facebook page, one LinkedIn account. So I put a note there saying if you're looking for commercial work, head to this. And I put a ribbon on my individual websites, referencing the clients. If you're here for weddings, go there. If you're here for headshots, go there. But that's clunky, right?
Yeah. And I want to do some research because they've changed a lot. I want to do some research, Eleonora, if that's okay,
Oh, yeah.
to see if there's any workarounds. And it's funny that you say that because I manage some accounts out of Denver, and the way they have their brand, it's called, I'll say like ABC Orthodontics of Loveland, which is a city or a suburb there. And then they have ABC Orthodontics of Fort Collins. And now Google doesn't even like that, even though they're separate offices. It's because it's the brand of, and then a location. And that was just this morning. And I'm like, that's weird. I didn't set them up. That's not me. But I got the notification. So I'm curious what they're changing now and to see if there's anything we can work with all of that.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
You're welcome, Eleanor. Any other questions? I think is that all the questions? Was it a quiet group? We had Eleanor and Sandy asking questions and Lori. Is everyone too scared to ask questions? Could she use a virtual address to have both accounts, or does it have to be physical brick and mortar? I think the virtual address would be difficult, L Preston, partly because you see clients, Eleonora, at your space, so you can't have like a necessarily a PO box, because then that gets into virtual territory, and then that your search rankings just nosedive from there. Yeah, that's the challenge. And the one initial thought, Eleanor, is suite numbers. Because I'm in an office building, lots of people are at 993 Princess, but I'm at suite 210. Like, could you have suite 1 and then suite 2? Like, that would be my initial, because I'm like, you're not the only person to have a business, like run 2 businesses. That would be mine. Brienne, does Google still mail a physical code to verify? I haven't seen that in a long time. And when I say long time, like 2 to 3 years. Brienne, now I see Google ask for a live video. So you're like physically in your studio or office saying, this is my office. And sometimes people have to go to outside and find the closest street sign, which sounds so absurd, but it's true. And they have to be like, this is the corner of Princess and Gardeners, and like show on a physical call where you are. They have to show suite numbers, office locations. If your office has like the numbers outside, they kind of make you run around a little bit. It's because I saw the marketing person I was talking about earlier, that's what he was doing. And he's like, I've done this 7 times. I've done this 7 times. So yeah. Kelly, yes, they used to do with a phone call. Yes, I've seen that before too. And I've done that as well. Yeah. So they have lots of different options, but I don't know if it just depends on the type of listing that you're currently in, what way you get to verify. So I've seen it kind of in all manners at this point. I think back in the day, I registered with a physical card. Like, it sent me a card and then it had a code in it years ago. All right. Any other questions, comments? Same, Brienne. Yeah. You're welcome, Christine. You're welcome, Lori. I think that's it. That's all. You're welcome, Eleonora. Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for attending. It looks like there's no further questions. So I will send this recording out, hopefully through Eventbrite itself. It will be a link. They don't allow hyperlinking in their emails anymore, but it will be a link and you can copy and paste it into your browser. And it will be an unlisted video on YouTube for you. Okay. Thank you everyone for attending, and I hope to see you in a couple of weeks for Meta Ads.